Hey everyone, welcome to our session on personality and personal development. So, now when we hear the word personality, what the first thing that comes to your mind? Usually, people think of something who's good looking, well dressed, or socially confident, right? So, it's really common to assume that attractive people automatically have a greater personality, while those who might not look the part are seen as having a poor one. But actually, if we're looking at it from a scientific psychological point of view, that understanding isn't complete at all. Psychologists believe that limiting the idea of personality to just social attractiveness is very misleading. Why? Two main reasons. First, it reduces personality to just a few behaviors that society values. And second, it ignores the fact that every individual have a unique personality, even if they don't fit into those narrow expectations. So today, we are going to explore how psychologists define personality, especially look at the famous definition given by Gordon Allport, will also define into how personality develop, what factor influence it, and trust me, it's much deeper than that how we look or act. So now let's talk about how personality develops. Since the beginning, psychologists have been really curious about what shape our personality, what makes each of us unique. There are main three types of factors that influence personality development: biological factor, psychological factor, environmental factors. We also call them the determinant of personality. So, next one is biological factors. So, alright, let's start with biological factors, also known as physical determinants. They basically means our body and how it function can impact our personal development. These are There are a few key biological aspects you should know. First, body build. Our body structure, like whether we tall, slim, muscular, or round, can influence our ability and even how we feel about ourselves. For example, people with a thin, tall body type called ectomorph usually perform well in endurance activity. Those who are more muscular, mesomorph, often have the best strength, speed, and agility. And our body type can shape our self concept, meaning how we should ourselves, which is a huge part of our personality. Second, physical attractiveness. Now, being good looking can sometimes open doors socially. Research by British and Lewis in 1968 show that attractive individuals often have easier, more rewarding, and social interaction. They may even be treated more kindly, like attractive children being disciplined less harshly or work being promoted fast, even if they aren't the most efficient. Third, homeostasis. Homeostasis means keeping inside of our body stable, like temperature, blood sugar, blood pressure. When these are balanced, we tend to feel calm and act socially appropriate. But if there's a disturbance, like low blood sugar, it can lead to mood swings, irritability, or even emotional instability. And the fourth one, physical defense. Physically challenge like obesity or other visual condition can affect how people treat us and how we feel about ourselves. Alfred Adler, a well-known psychologist, introduced the idea of organ inferiority, suggesting that physical defense can lead to feeling of inferiority, which impact personal development. And the fifth one is health condition. Finally, overall health play a major role. If someone have chronic illness during childhood, like diabetes, it can cause emotional stress, frustration, or even aggression. Similarly, hormonal imbalance, especially in women like irregular menstruation cycle, can cause emotional ups and downs that shape social behavior and self-esteem. So, as you can see, biological factors set a kind of foundation, but that's just one part of the story. In our next part, we will explore the psychological and environmental factors that further shape who we are. Psychological factors influencing personality development. Alright, now that we have covered the biological factors, let's move into something even more interesting. The psychological factor that shape our personality, because let's be real. It's not just about how we look or how healthy we are, right? How we think, feel, and behave inside play a huge role too. So, intellectual determinant. So, first up, intellectual ability, basically how intelligent we are affect how we adjust to the life and how others see us. In generally, people with higher intelligence tend to have better self-control, creativity, and adaptability. But there's an interesting twist. Sometimes people with very high intelligence can face emotional struggle, conflict, or even disconnected from society. Also, our intellectual ability play a role in developing our value, morality, and humanity. And next one is emotional determinants. So our emotions impact both our personally and social adjustment. Positive emotions like cheerful support a healthy personality, but negative emotions like fear or anxiety can damage it. It's really important to maintain emotional balance. If someone is deprived of love or happiness early in life, what we call emotion deprivation, it can lead to insecurity or even rebellious behavior later on. And on the flip side, getting too much love or overprotection can actually hurt too. Psychologists like Freud Straker point out that overprotected child often grow up emotionally immature and dependent. And also, if we bottle up our emotion without expressing them, it can cause gloominess, mental stress, and even depression. That's why emotional catharsis or simply letting your emotion out is so important to stay mentally healthy. And next one is self disclosure. Another key factor is self disclosure. In simple, word being able to open up to others. When we talk about our feeling honestly, it helps maintain mental health and build a stronger, healthier personality. But when we keep emotion like anxiety or jealousy bottled up, especially if you already have low self-esteem, it can adjust problem. And the part 4 is aspiration and achievement. Now let's talk about aspirations. Our dream and goal, when we set goals that involve our self-image like become successful, famous or skilled, that called ego involved aspiration. Now aspiration can be positive or negative, realistic or unrealistic, immediate or long term. And guess what? A realistic and long term goal usually motivate us the most. But if there's a huge gap between what we aspire to and what we actually achieve, it can seriously damage our self concept. And the next part is achievement. And of course, achievements matters too. When we succeed, it builds our self-esteem, give us confidence, and make us feel relaxed and happy. But repeat failure can cause low self-esteem, tension, anxiety, and sometimes even psychosomatic illness. Also, achieving big things early than our peer can boost satisfaction, but beware. Too much early success can sometimes kill long term motivation. And achieving extraordinary success can bring it on problem, like jealousy from others to difficulty adjusting socially. And the part 6 is goal setting. Lastly, goal setting. People who well adjust tend to set realistic, achievable goals. Success teaches how to aim better next time. But if someone keeps failing, they might lose motivation, doubt themselves, and constantly feeling dissatisfied. Especially if they keep comparing themselves with more successful people. Intrinsically, some overachieving develop a superiority complex, feeling better than other, which actually damage their social relationship. So, as you can see, psychological factors shape how we see ourselves, how we handle success or failure. In our next part, we will look at the third big piece of the puzzle, environmental factors. Things around us help shape our personality. Stay tuned. Environmental factors influencing personal development. Alright, so we have already looked at how our body and mind influence personality. But what about the world around us? Yep, the environment we grow up in, family, school, friends, all of it's a huge role. Let's break it down step by step. Social acceptance. First step, social acceptance. We human are social being. We live in group and naturally those group judge our behavior based on certain norms. How we see ourselves, our self-concept, actually depends on a lot of how accepted we feel by others. If we feel accepted and valued, we become outgoing, flexible, and daring. But haven't catch, sometimes high social acceptance can make a person little aloof or even make it harder for them to form deeper, closer relationship. And when people face social isolation, when they are rejected, it often leads to feeling of resentment, depression, and antisocial behavior. And next one is social deprivation. So this is basically when people lack opportunity for love, affection, and interaction. Children and elderly folks are especially vulnerable to this. Now, interestingly, if someone chooses to be socially withdrawn, it's less harmful. But if forced into isolation, it can lead to unhealthy attitudes and even mental health issues. Education factors. Moving on, education. School, college, and teachers doesn't just teach math and science. They actually shape our personality too. A positive attitude towards studies and peer building self-confidence and self-esteem. And the emotion climate of school, whether warm and encourage or cold harsh, can generally influence our motivation, behavior, and emotional reaction. When teachers create a warm, supportive environment, it really boosts both academic success and personal growth. And last one, family determines. Of course, family play a major role too. Parents directly shape personality through the way they discipline, communicate, and set example. For instance, strict or punctuant parents can make kids overly depend on extremely approved. And children often identity and imitate their parents. So if parents are anxious, kid may be anxious. If parents are warm and loving, kids tend to be more social and outgoing. Emotional climate of home and ordinary position. Another interesting factor, the emotional climate and home and even your birth order. A positive, lovely home make kids calm and cooperative. A negative, hostile home can lead the aggression and conflict. And yes, your place among siblings matters too. Firstborn, usually more conforming introvert and sometimes insecure. Lastborn, often more dependent and sometimes less achievement drive. Middleborn, they are usually better at making friends and adjusting socially. Size of family. In larger family, kids maybe become independent earlier, but they can also be experience resistment become of strict parenting. In small family, parent can give more attention, boosting self-confidence. But sometimes it also lead to jealousy and competition among siblings. Final wrap up, the combined effect. So to sum it up, personality development isn't really of just one thing. It's a teamwork of physical factor, multiply psychological factors, multiply environmental factors. Modern psychologists agree it's a combination effect of all three that shape who we are. Alright, that's it for environmental factors. Next, we will move into more fascinating topics, so stay tuned and keep growing.